Proposed bill to require all US citizens to have their entire genome sequenced is wrong on an ethical and practical level. The bill poses security risks to the consumers. Companies rarely disclose what data they collect from us and how they use it. So why would they start now? And having everyone's data collected in one or a few servers by 23andMe gives hackers or anyone with an ulterior motive an easy way to create mass harm via exposing, stealing, and selling people's genomic data. This bill directly violates our Fourth Amendment right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. This amendment is why police can't force someone to give a DNA sample. They have the right not to give DNA. This bill will also create stereotypes and stigma against some people. Studying the genomes of criminals and finding a pattern that makes these people more inclined to commit a crime raises the concern of the government or company blacklisting people with the same sequence but who have not committed any crimes. It's also easy for anyone to push the narrative that people with this pattern are inherently bad or these people are just born bad. Genetic testing can't always rule out the possibility of developing a disease later on in life. It's not a fast process and can't always get enough accurate results for it to be worth getting a whole population tested. If this bill was passed, yes, we would have better predictive healthcare, but which would be good in some cases. But what's the point if there's no way to prevent diseases or conditions? Yes, you'll see what diseases you're prone to, but we can't stop it. So what's the point? And since we can't prevent these, what people really want to know about conditions that they're prone to develop, like dementia or Alzheimer's. And if you knew you had a lifelong disease or are prone to one, your life insurance costs would go up. This causes trouble for a lot of families if they can't afford these higher prices, all because you've been labeled as a high risk investment. Overall, this bill would not be a good one to pass.
So for my first question, DNA sequencing has the potential to increase the ability to act preemptively prior to disease development or commence treatment for a disease that is not yet being diagnosed. Therefore, why would we deny healthcare to US citizens by preventing them from having the opportunity to have their DNA sequenced and treated for diseases if there are federal laws like the Common Rule, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and also the Genetic Information and Non-Discrimination Act to protect an individual's genomic and medical information?
We wouldn't be denying the individuals the opportunity to get their DNA sequenced. It can be available for those who want to do it, but there will be some US citizens who don't want to do it. They just won't want that. And that should be an option. It shouldn't be forced by being a law that you have to have it done. Um, Individual patients should be willing participants in their own healthcare, not be forced into a treatment plan that they might not want.
Okay, question 2. Why do you believe corporations will falsify information of DNA sequencing if the primary purpose of sequencing one's genome is to obtain information of medical value for future care to patients and individuals?
So the concern is not about falsifying the information, but it being misused in a way that can be harmful to individuals. They might be denied opportunities like employment, housing, health benefits, and more simply based off of the possibility of having a condition that might happen in your future.
Okay, so now going into my portion of the debate. According to the National Human Genome Research Institute, DNA sequencing is a laboratory technique used to determine the exact sequence of bases in a DNA molecule. DNA sequence information is important to scientists investigating the functions of genes. With this information, physicians can look at an entire genome to see how specific treatments for a disease will be affected by an individual's unique genetics. For example, in the future, whole genome sequencing may enable physicians to create personalized plans to treat diseases not only based on the mutant genes causing a disease, but also other genes in the patient's genome. Furthermore, DNA sequencing can be seen as a great advantage and major breakthrough in cancer treatment. Genotyping cancer cells and understanding what genes are misregulated allows physicians to select the best chemotherapy and potentially expose the patient to less toxic treatment. since the therapy is tailored. For example, testing for BRCA1 and 2 mutations in patients with breast cancer has proven vital because knowledge of these mutations can help clinicians to decide about various options of risk reduction strategies. Additionally, over 100 nucleotide polymorphisms associated with breast cancer risk have also been identified through large genetic studies and DNA sequencing. Lastly, previously unknown genes may be identified as contributing to a disease state, whereas traditional genetic testing looks only at the common troublemaker genes. Moreover, to ensure that an individual's privacy is respected, there are federal laws in place that aim to strike that delicate balance between scientific progress and patient privacy. Therefore, the passing of the bill will prove to be extremely beneficial and will be seen as one of the greatest revolutionary advances in science of all time.
All right. So my first question would be, how would you plan to keep individuals' genomic information safe from companies that want to use it for harmful situations or for their own profit?
So, whether an individual's genomic information is being used for research, clinical applications, or other uses, it is important to ensure the individual's privacy is respected. Therefore, there are laws and policies to protect the privacy of an individual's genomic information, such as the Common Rule, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and the Genetic Information and Non-Discrimination Act. All of these laws restrict the access of issuers of health insurance and employers to individuals' genetic information, as well as to prohibit genetic discrimination. In addition, these certificates of confidentiality issued by NIH can safeguard the privacy of research participants.
Okay. And my second would be, how would you ensure to not misdiagnose a patient due to inaccurate gene sequencing, potentially causing further damage to the patient?
So, DNA sequencing can actually provide a precise diagnosis, which might affect the medical management of symptoms or provide treatment options. In addition, extensive phenotypic variability that retains patients either as misdiagnosed or undiagnosed cases for years has been correctly diagnosed through next generation sequencing research applications. Furthermore, physicians can be trained on how to accurately interpret genomic data to provide the best diagnosis for patients.
Right.